right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we are actually live in full effect, and we got the one and only, the legendary Tracey Lee right here on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
All is well, all is well. What's good with you, sir? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I hope everything is all well with yourself out there in Philly.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm located. I'm from Philly, but I'm located in, and that's a good way to start off the conversation. Right now, I'm located outside of D.C. Been here for over 15 years. Well, really off and on, probably for the last, I would say, 30 plus years. I've been in this area. But after I graduated from high school, I went to Howard University and kind of really never left. You know what I mean?
And I gotta say, it definitely is a beautiful place out there. I had a few friends that actually went on vacations out to D.C., and they said nothing but wonderful things when they actually made it back to Canada.
Oh, no doubt. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I have to ask, Tracey, I know you're a busy guy, so I'm going to dive right into this interview, but I want to take you back to the very beginning of your iconic career this far, and I have to ask, what originally made you decide to pursue a career within the music industry initially?
I mean, being a child that was born in 1970, man, I am fully woven into the fabric and the culture of hip-hop. So, it was really an innate situation in regards to, just the culture itself. But as far as the music is concerned, before, I guess what we want to call rap music or hip-hop music, I grew up off of, R&B, Motown, to, Philly International, to, going through the disco era, and this is right before hip-hop, began its, not resurgence, but surgence, if you will. And so, immediately, because we are of the culture, the minute I heard Rappers Delight on the radio, I caught the bug, you know what I'm saying? And so, because you didn't hear, music like this, you know what I mean? So, from that point on, it was just like, I just fell in love with, the ability of an MC to put words together over, a track, you know what I'm saying? And a couple of guys that really kind of inspired me, even to pursue it further, were, legendary pioneers by the name of, not only Kumo D and Grandmaster Caz and Melly Mel, but then after that you had your LL Cool J's of the world, and then shortly after that you had the Rakims of the world and Cool G Rap and KRS-One and Chuck D and Big Daddy Kane. And so, but even before those guys, stepped on the scene, speaking of, talking about, G-Rap and Kane and Chuck and all those guys that dropped like, 86, 87. I started writing maybe about 82. And again, going back to the whole Melly Mel reference and the Kumo D's and the Grandmaster Caz of the world. And so those were like the original wordsmiths. Those were the original, pioneers of again, the vocabulary skill and the similes and the metaphors and his great writing on records. And so, from that point on, man, I tried to get a deal, even as early as maybe about 15 years old. So, but it didn't come to fruition until, after I graduated from Howard and spent a lot of time and money and energy into recording records and shopping demos and stuff like that. But then I finally, it all paid off, and I finally got my deal in 1996 with Boston University.
And also as well, while you were actually studying at Howard University, I actually read on the internet that you actually met legendary producers Ddot and Amen Robin that actually took you under their wing and helped craft the iconic song, the theme, It's Party Time. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story behind that partnership, and of course, how did you originally come across them while you were in university?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were all students at Howard, man. Amen Robin and Ddot, they were, partners not only, before they, began, as a production team, they were a group called Two Kings in the Cypher. And, actually, Ron Lawrence, the great Ron Lawrence, he goes back to even, doing some production work with Herbie Lovebug. You know what I mean? So, he was the original, or should I say, he laid the foundation with regards to the production, and then Ddot shortly came right after that after, because Ddot was the natural MC. He was the guy that I met first. So I met him in front of this place is a common ground on Howard University's campus. Should I say a building called the Blackburn Center. And so one day I saw Ddot Ramen in front of Blackburn Center with this other brother named China Black, and you know, I felt like I found, you know, the type of people that you know, basically that I gravitate towards with regard to the music. You know what I mean? It sounded right. You know, the freestyle and the bars were good. You know, not only good, great. So it was like, you know, we just built a rapport from that point. And so even while Ddot and Amen Ra were, you know, they had got signed and they were out there, you know, pushing their album and things like that back in 1990, 91. Ddot and Ron, you know, they always remembered that, you know, I got Biggie. And so when the opportunity presented itself, and this is, you know, after their album, and now you see them as a full-fledged production team called the Mystery System, and then eventually, you know, being under the Bad Boy umbrella as a part of the Hitmen, and that's where, you know, from that point, with him and a guy by the name of Mark Pitts, who also went to Howard, who ran his big at the time. Once Mark Pitts got his deal with By Storm, again, Ddot reached back, let Mark know, you know, about who I was. Even though I knew Mark, I don't think he knew that I got busy, you know what I'm saying, with regards to, you know, being an MC. But Ddot reminded him, and so we started the process of, you know, sending the demos to Mark. And, you know, ironically, you know, while Mark was listening to the demos, Big would be in the car. So there was another cosign involved, you know, with regards to me getting that deal with Mark Pitts, you know what I'm saying. Now you got Big here, you know, that's involved in really telling Mark, yeah, you know, well, he's nice, you know, you need to shine him. So with Ddot, Amen Ra, and Biggie, and Mark Pitts, you know, pulled the trigger and made that happen. And again, all of this things from Howard University.
And I gotta say, in my personal opinion, that is probably one of the most famous East Coast hip hop songs of all time. When you actually created that and you first rolled it out onto the streets and whatnot, and onto the shelves, did you think it would be as big as it is today?
No, not at all. If you're talking about his party time, absolutely not. I knew we had something, and I mean, let me call it by its full name. The theme is party time. I knew we had something. I knew it was a smash. But, you know, I'm just humbled and still wild to this day that, you know, we're talking, 25 years later, that we still have a record that still gets played, you know, and a lot of people, you know, can't really say that. You know, we got a record that still gets played quite often. I never would have imagined that you know, that it is what it is right now. But I'm grateful and fortunate. And yeah, but I mean, to answer your question, I knew it was a smash, but you know, to have legs this long is incredible. You know what I mean?
And of course, while we're actually on the topic of that song, on April 8th of 1997, you actually released your debut album titled Many Faces. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about this iconic record. And of course, do you have any plans to actually re-release a 25th anniversary edition this year?
Oh man, it's funny you should say that. I was just on the phone with Mark, with Ddot. Hold on. I was just on the phone with Ddot maybe about a day or two ago, and we were talking about that as far as a re-release and a remastered version with some bonus tracks and things like that. So I'm going to say stay tuned. Stay tuned. You may hear some news about that. But as far as the release is concerned, the funny thing is that if you look on the internet, there's actually 2 release dates for this album. There's one for March 25th, and then there's one for April 8th. And the reason why is because it was originally supposed to be released on March 25th, and there are some people who actually got the album on March 25th. But because that date was the same date as Life After Death, I think that's where there was another release they put behind it. But, you know, I think it was a situation where it was kind of too late for some folks who had already got it on the March 25th date. So, you know, I mean, we could celebrate it twice, but yeah, there's 2 dates out there for the actual release of the album, which, like, again, is March 25th as well as on April 8th. But But yeah, that stay tuned for more news about the 25th anniversary edition of Many Faces.
And also, as well, on your Many Faces album, you actually had the opportunity to collaborate with the late, great, notorious B.I.G. And I know you just spoke a few moments ago about how you guys originally met, but I was wondering, what was it like just working in the studio with Biggie Smalls right before his untimely passing?
Oh, man, it was incredible. You know what I'm saying? It was probably the single, at that time, the single most incredible recording experience of my career. And that's because, you know, and December, this was December, I want to say it was December 5th, 1996. I mean, Big was at the top of the food chain. Big was, you know, highly anticipated, you know, about to drop his second release. And so, you know, to have him on the record, and not only have him on the record, but to be able to build with that brother, you know, during the session and even before the session and even after the session, we had, you know, began to build a good rapport, a great rapport, if you will. So, you know, but on the record itself, you know, it was a, you know, it was a learning experience for me with regards to the business, because, you know, he had a lot of knowledge about the business, and, you know, he shared a lot of those jewels with me. He shared, you know, future aspirations that he had for himself, you know, but at the same time, you had the dynamic of two, you know, MCs who, you know, are in the prime of their careers. I guess you could say that at that time, I wasn't at my prime, but he, you know, was, you know, again, top of the food chain. But, you know, being an MC, man, you got a bit of an ego. So now, you know, not only are we trying to make a good record, but we also trying to one-up each other with regard to the bars. So that made the dynamic even that more special. That made the record even that more special because, you know, when you get on the record with somebody, especially with somebody as great as Big, you're not trying to have him just outdo you on your own record. So, you know, and again, I think because he wouldn't have agreed to do a record with somebody like myself, you know, first time out, newcomer, what have you, if he didn't think that I brought something to the table. So, you know, again, that made for, okay, I see you coming, even though I'm older than Big, God rest his soul, or was older than Big, you know, I'm still the newcomer. So he's probably looking at me like, I see you coming, newbie, but I got something for you. And I'm thinking the same thing. I know you're the king of this thing right now, but I got something for you. So, you know, we still was able to make a cohesive record called Keep Your Hands High. But again, the competitive nature of being an MC, you know, stepped the level of the bar game up just that much. You know what I mean?
And I gotta say, Notorious was such a larger-than-life individual, man. Such a huge superstar. I think sometimes some individuals forget that he was only 24 years old when he passed away, man.
Right.
I could only imagine what he'd be doing right now if he was still alive.
Oh, man, it would be, you know, it's almost unfathomable. It's like you can't even comprehend where, you know, he would have taken the culture. Like, it's almost scary, man, but I just think we got cheated out of something very, very special, man. But again, rest in power to the late great Notorious B.I.G. and prayers and condolences continuously for his family. You know what I mean?
And also, aside from being an MC here for a moment, I also read that you are actually an entertainment lawyer as well. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that, and of course, what actually made you decide to pursue being a lawyer originally?
Man, to be honest, I mean, that was the furthest thing from my brain, my plate. Like, I had no aspiration of going back to school. I had already, you know, received my bachelor's from Howard University, and now, you know, we are knee-deep into this recording career. But, you know, there were some things about this business that I just never knew about. So, you know, once you get into the game and get into the business, you start to see certain things, and you start to understand that you're not, you know, at least from my perspective, you know, my main concern was just being the dopest MC possible. But then you get in there and you find out that that's really like, you know, if I had to put it in numbers, maybe 10% of the game. 90% of the game is business. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, from that perspective, once I realized that, and then coupled with the fact that after my second budget to record an album, and I actually completed an album called Live from the 215 that never saw the light of day. And by the way, that album featured, you know, the production of a young Kanye West. and it featured, the late great Black Rob on the album. We had Buckshot on the album. We had Corrupt on the album. I mean, production by Ddot once again. The late great Chucky Thompson did some production on the album. So it was put together. I mean, we had a dope project on our hands, but Universal decided to go into another direction. That's when you saw the surgence of, folks like Nelly and Cash Money started to come into play. This is the beginning stages of their run. So there was no room for Tracey. You know what I'm saying? So eventually, after we created the album and released a single called We Like, they dropped. And so now we're in a stage of what do we do next? And again, because of all the things that I learned in the business, I just had a different aspect or different thought process with regards to being a recording artist in the game. I had to come at it from a different perspective. I had to come at it from a different angle now. The same enthusiasm wasn't there anymore like it was in '96, where the whole goal was just to get a deal. Because now you see what the business is all about. And so that is the thing that triggered me to go back, get an education, and more specifically, get my JD and get a law degree to eventually become an entertainment attorney, not only for myself and future aspirations that I have as an artist or continue to have as an artist, but then also for younger cats that's coming up in the game that so that I could provide the kind of guidance that I don't think that I've received, as an artist, first time artist in the music industry. So all of that, the combination of all of that is what motivated me to go ahead and pursue the JD and get my Juris Doctorate and become an entertainment attorney. I've been an entertainment attorney now for the last 15 years. Wow, it's been 15 years. 15 years now.
And also as well, I actually saw that you have an extensive list of clients, but the one that really stood out to me was actually the late, great Kobe Bryant. I was actually wondering, how did yourself and Kobe get connected? And of course, what was it like just being his representation? Because I gotta say, he was another larger-than-life superstar outside of music. He was a hip-hop artist as well, but he was most known for being an LA Laker.
Yes, well, that came about through a company that I worked for called Invisible Inc. And so Invisible Inc. did events for high-profile celebrities, and Kobe Bryant, a company that Kobe Bryant was a part of, was the company that we represented at that time. I mean, other profile clients that I got through Invisible Inc. with Kelly Rowland, as well as Solange Knowles. When Solange was, making appearances as a DJ at one time, and Kelly Rowland was also just, making appearances or doing walkthrough appearances at certain engagements and things of that nature. So I would negotiate those deals, but yeah, that was my experience with regards to Kobe and his company, and the type of contracts that I used to do for that particular company.
And I have to say as well, because unfortunately, as we already know, what happened with Kobe and whatnot, another tragic incident. I have to ask, what was one of your most memorable moments you actually just shared with Kobe Bryant? Because I know you were his representation, but you obviously must have had some fun times with him as well.
Well, honestly, I never really got to chop it up with Kobe in the way that I would have liked to. I probably had more encounters, personal encounters with Shaq as opposed to Kobe, and this was, him as a younger Kobe. But in this particular case, it was more about me representing the company, and so unfortunately, I never got to really sit down with him. It was more so sitting down with the lawyers that he also worked with for this particular company, and so that we were in cahoots and being able to create or negotiate, the best possible situation for events that they were trying to establish.
And also as well, going into 2014, you actually released the phenomenal album titled The Revolution, ESQ. I was wondering if you could actually tell us a bit more about this record. And of course, is it still actually available to be streamed or purchased today on the internet?
Oh yeah, ESQ, The Revelation. That was, the first time, I guess, that I had released anything since, honestly, since Many Faces, from an album perspective. And, ESQ definitely holds a special place in my heart because that was the opportunity for me to really let out or for that album to be the outlet that I needed with regards to all of the trials and tribulations that I had gone through, up to that point, which had been maybe 13 years, you know what I'm saying, or even longer than that. You're talking about 97 and 2014, you're talking about 17 years of just pent-up frustration, the unexplained, as far as, where I had been, for those that were curious about why, I never released another album or, where am I now, you know what I mean, for those that hadn't seen or heard from me, in that time span, it definitely gave me the platform to explain, but more importantly, it was therapeutic for me, you know what I'm saying, because when you have those type of feelings and emotions and pent up frustrations inside, you have to have, prayerfully, a way to let it out without anybody feeling the wrath, if you will. And so, my therapy is writing. You know what I'm saying? My therapy, when I want to get some things off my chest, when I want to, relieve myself emotionally, I grab a pen and a pad. Music has always been therapy for me. So ESQ The Revelation definitely served that purpose.
And I gotta say as well, my favorite track off that record is actually Back Home. I believe it was featuring Miss Cherokee, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, absolutely. Salute to her. My homegirl from London, England, absolutely.
And also as well, you are also the owner and founder of your own production company titled LL Left Entertainment. I was wondering what actually made you decide to start up this company, and of course, what services do you offer currently to the general public?
Yes, Left Entertainment, it's actually pronounced Left. It's Left spelled with two L's. We wanted to be phonetically different because the whole thought process behind Left is that, we are different from, the stat quo. We are different from what is pop culture. Our motto is when people go right, we go left. And so we go so far left that we decided to, change the spelling of the name. And so that was a company that was established by me and my wife, where, we covered essentially the full gambit of the entertainment industry, from music and the legal side that I represent to, a publishing company that's called Nelson Publishing, where my wife produces children's books, as well as film and television. She produces or has produced short films in the past and present, and is currently working on another cartoon series. So we just wanted to, get our footing in the game independently this time around, at least for me, setting the standard and creating a bar or a lane that is different from what is being offered out there in the commercial marketplace. And so that is the inspiration behind Left Entertainment.
And I gotta say as well, it's definitely a phenomenal company, man. I really do like what you actually put together there. I have to ask, what is actually next to come for yourself and your production company?
Well, just to, I guess do a quick rewind of what we have out there now. Not only do we have ESQ The Revelation, which is on all streaming platforms, as well as on the website, TraceyLeeMusic.com, but we also, at least me as an artist, Tracey Lee, created two albums, one in 2019 after ESQ, one in 2019 called The Expect the Unexpected, and one in 2020 that we're actually still pushing to this day called Glory, which was produced by a phenomenal producer by the name of Jazz, who produced the entire album for both of those projects. And with Glory, there is a book that is attached to it called Glory the Manuscript, where, it features not only the lyrics to the project Glory, but also it's a coffee table book which gives you a very in-depth visual as well as recordings of, should I say, written recordings of, what we're currently going through with regards to the pandemic, with regards to social injustice, with regards to society as a whole. So there are pictures, photography, should I say, as well as journal entries that give you an insight on where I was coming from with each song. That's also available on TraceyLeeMusic.com. But coming down the pipeline in 2022, my wife has a book right now called Hip Hop Don't Stop, which is a children's book that is receiving rave reviews across the globe. Honestly, it has been endorsed by the great cool DJ Red Alert, as well as Doodlebug from Digital Planets, and it's really a book that teaches from a basic level, to kids from 4 to 8 about the culture of hip hop and its foundation, and the ideal of expression, through music, through dance, through breakdancing, through the elements of the culture, freedom of expression with regards to dress and style, to language, all of that stuff. And that's also available on Amazon.com. But that is out right now, as well as, again, stay tuned for more announcements about Many Faces, the 25th anniversary edition, and be on the lookout, for some new projects, for some new, Tracey Lee music projects coming down the pipeline in 2022.
And I gotta say as well, with your Glory project, I absolutely love the deluxe edition you actually put out I believe it was September of last year, man. I actually have it on my Napster, and I've been streaming the heck out of it.
Oh, man, thank you so much. I appreciate that, man.
But also as well, Tracey, this is the time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Tracey Lee if they're not already doing so.
Yes, man. First of all, thank you for bringing me on the show. I really appreciate you giving me the platform and the ability to touch or to speak to, just a totally different demographic that I'm, not able to speak to on a regular basis. So shout out to, my Canadian family and all the people up north. And I can be reached on all your major social media platforms, from IG, which is at Tracey Lee ESQ, to LinkedIn, which is Tracey Lee the second ESQ, to Twitter, which is at Trey Lee, TRAYLEE, Facebook, as well as TikTok is at Tracey Lee ESQ. So yeah, man, please, by all means, for anybody that's listening, definitely reach out. Let's touch base. Let's create a rapport, and stay tuned for more content coming down the pipeline in the very near future.
And I gotta say first and foremost, Tracey, thank you so much for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening and sliding into the 97.7 FM airways, man. I gotta say, it truthfully was an honor. I've been a fan for multiple years, man. So just thank you for years of monumental music that helped not only myself, but millions of other listeners worldwide get through all the dark times in their lives, man. So thank you so much, and I'm definitely looking forward to more Tracey Lee in the future.
Oh, no, thank you. And I forgot one more handle, man. Definitely, I don't believe I forgot to give you this, but I can also be reached on YouTube on Left TV, which is LLEFT TV. That's left spelled with 2 L's, TV. And once again, I got to give you the website, TraceyLeeMusic.com, TRACEYLEE music.com. Thank you so much.
I gotta say, you are most certainly welcome, Tracey. Definitely have yourself a wonderful night, and hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon.
Absolutely, man. Matter of fact, next time it'll be in person, man. I got to get up that way, so appreciate you.
Hey, man, that definitely sounds like a plan, Tracey. We'll definitely be in touch, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. Peace.